Okay, let's just dive right in. We've all heard stories about these huge, well-funded development projects that, honestly, for all their good intentions, just don't work. It's a massive puzzle. But what if there's a piece we've all been overlooking? A missing link that could unlock real, actual, lasting change? Well, today, we're going to go looking for that missing link. So here's the plan. First, we're going to tackle the problem itself, what we're calling the Great Disconnect. Then, we'll dig into why those classic top-down approaches just fail so often. After that, we're going to pivot to the solution, to finding that missing link. We'll explore what Indigenous communication really is, right down to its roots, and we'll wrap up by seeing why listening to local voices is pretty much everything. All right, first things first. We have to start with a fundamental problem here, which is this huge, and let's be honest, often really frustrating disconnect between trying to do good and actually having an impact. It's a maddening question, isn't it? I mean, you've got the experts, you've got the money, the technology. Everything is aimed at solving a problem, but the message just doesn't land. The plan doesn't stick. So what's going on? Why? That is the core challenge we're unpacking today. Okay, so to really get a handle on this disconnect, we have to diagnose the problem. Let's take a look at exactly why these top-down models seem to crumble the second they meet local realities. Now this is interesting. This slide just captures the issue so perfectly. Take a look at this diagram. On one side, you've got the foreign development models, all structured, urban, coming from the outside. And on the other side, the rural masses. And right there in between them is this giant chasm, the context gap. See those arrows? That's information trying to get across, but it just fizzles out and falls right into the gap. And this, right here, shows the specific barriers that create that gap. First, the messages are just totally disconnected from the local setting. They don't mean anything in daily life. Second, and this one's obvious, you've got language and dialect barriers that completely warp the meaning. But this third one, this one's the real showstopper, a misaligned Indigenous worldview. The entire foundation of how people see the world, their values, their logic, it's just different. So the message has no context, no soil to plant itself in. It just withers. So if that's the problem, the next logical step has to be figuring out how to build a bridge across that chasm. We've got to find that missing link. And here's the pivot point, right? We can't just keep shouting across the gap and hoping someone hears us. The answer isn't a bigger, louder megaphone. It's a completely different way of thinking about communication itself. And here it is. This is the big shift. People are finally starting to realize that the solution isn't to just import another foreign model. No, it's to look at what's already there. Turns out the most credible, the most acceptable sources of information are the Indigenous media and communication systems that have been part of the community for generations. Okay, so if the answer is in these Indigenous systems, what are they exactly? Let's unpack that because it's a really cool concept. This tree is just a fantastic metaphor for understanding the whole thing. A communication system isn't just some tool, it's a living thing. You can see it's got these deep roots that anchored in the culture, a strong trunk that passes along information, and then branches that show all the things it does for the community. It's totally holistic, totally integrated. So let's start with the most important root of all, endogenous origin. This is the key. It basically means the system isn't foreign, it's not imported, it grows organically from within the community itself. It's native to that social soil. And the other roots here are just as vital. It doesn't just grow from within, it's also anchored in the host culture values. The shared beliefs that hold everyone together. It speaks a language everyone truly understands, using local symbols and ethos, the stories, the art, the moral compass of that very specific society. So what does the system actually do? Well, that's what the branches are for. It delivers news, but in a way that makes sense to people there. It provides entertainment, through storytelling, song, dance. It facilitates social exchange, making community bonds stronger. And it enables persuasion, letting people discuss and make decisions that actually line up with their own values. This quote from the source material just ties it all together so well. An Indigenous communication system is defined by its origin from and its integration into a specific culture. It has to use the values, the symbols, and the institutions of that culture to even work as a channel. You see, it's not just a medium, it's woven into the very fabric of the culture. So, let's bring all this home. What's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for the future of development work? So here's the bottom line. Effective development is not about finding better ways to beam messages from the outside in. It's about nurturing the communication that's already there, that grows from the roots of the culture it's supposed to serve. That's how you bridge the context gap. You realize the bridge was there the whole time. We just had to learn how to see it. And that really leaves us with one last essential question. If we truly want to make change that actually matters, that lasts, if we want to get beyond just guessing and have a real contextualized impact, who should we be listening to? The answer, it seems, has been right there all along.